Hello and welcome along to SUTV Live, where we will be bringing you all the build-up between now and 3 p.m. as Sheffield United travel to Egan Park to take on Blackburn Rovers. The next 60 minutes of SUTV Live is free to view for all Blades fans, but due to broadcasting regulations, today's match feed is only available on this platform to Blades fans who are overseas in EFL broadcast exempt territories. All of the details can be seen at the bottom of the screen there in sufc.co.uk to find the broadcasting regulations. Welcome along, good afternoon. It's another match day for the Blades, looking to get their first win in 3 games. I'm joined by some regulars on SUTV Live this afternoon. First of all, our ever-present to the starting lineup throughout the season so far, into his 16th championship game of the season, it is of course Kevin Gage.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon now, Kevin. It's been a roller coaster of the last 7 days. Certainly we've experienced the full range of emotions. How are you feeling about today?
I'm slightly apprehensive about today. I think we'll get some kind of reaction off Blackburn, so I think it could be a tricky game for us today.
Well, we'll talk about that in a moment. First of all, we'll introduce the man alongside you, a Blades legend, as we always tell you whenever this man joins us. The first scorer of a Premier League goal since its inception back in 1992. He made 225 league appearances for Sheffield United and scored 95 goals in that time in the league. Brian Dean, good afternoon.
How are you doing? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Welcome along to the set once again. Gagey says he's a little bit apprehensive. How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, I kind of share that a little bit because, you know, the results have been, you know, they haven't been what you would expect at this time of the season. You know, hopefully we kind of looked at this part of the season and thought that it would be more settled, you know, and more consistent. But, yeah, it's been a little bit up and down. And so, you know, we're going to a game now where we're kind of thinking, well, what's going to happen today? You know?
Well, let's address the elephant in the room, as Gagey spoke about there briefly. 7-0 Blackburn lost at home to Fulham on Wednesday night. And I've already heard, guys, people around the Blades talking about this game as, well, they're there for the taking. But Blackburn are a tougher nut to crack than that, Gagey, aren't they, at Egan Park?
It's never that easy. People come out with that old cliche, oh, it's a good time to go there, etc., etc. Let me tell you, I'm the complete opposite. I don't think it's a good time to go there at all, because that's an embarrassing defeat for them at home. Fulham are a very good side, and yeah, there were mitigating circumstances because the man was sent off early for Fulham, Blackburn. But you can't lose 7-0 at home. As I say, it's embarrassing for professional footballers. So they'll be looking for a big reaction to that, and I just hope, you know, we don't get stung really.
Brian, in your playing career, did you ever have a situation similar to this where you were taking on a team who just suffered a heavy defeat and all the noise outside the club was, well, you need to take advantage of this now?
Yeah, of course. I think there's 2 ways of looking at this. You know, from the first point of view, if you are facing a team like this, it's important to get on the front foot, you know, and try to kind of make sure that any kind of words or anything that has been spoken by the manager have dissipated, you know, within the first 5-10 minutes. If you got on the front foot, it can be a continuation of what they experienced in their last game. But if you don't do that and the manager's done his job, then it can be a very difficult game. And I think that's why myself and Kevin kind of, we're just, both of us were like, we're not sure what to expect today, because we've been in both camps. We've also been on the other side of it as well. So
well, I was just going to ask you that. Let's flip this on its head. When you've been part of a team that's suffered a heavy defeat, like Blackburn have, is it easy to get that out of the system, or easier if there's a game that comes around quickly inside 2 or 3 days like this one has, or will there be some lingering hangover for Blackburn?
I think as a pro footballer, you get over them quite quickly. I don't think any Blackburn player is going to go out there this afternoon, you know, worried about what happened on Tuesday. I think they can put it to bed and they can focus and get ready for today's game. So I don't think that's really going to be an issue. I expect that Tony Mowbray, the manager, will make some changes, because I think he'll need to shake things up. And of course, the new players coming in, if there are a few coming in, Tuesday's game won't matter to them. It's a completely different set of players, might be a different team setup. So they have to start afresh. But I just got this gut feeling. I think it's going to be a difficult game all round. You know, we've been playing okay, and I've been banging on for weeks about our performances, saying, you know, we haven't been bad. They've generally been quite good, and I just don't think we've got the results that our performances have deserved. Sometimes we've had a few off 45 minutes against Millwall. We weren't very good first half. Stoke, we didn't perform too well in patches, but generally we've been quite good. I just hope maybe today's the game where our performance isn't brilliant and we might scrape a win or some points somewhere.
Well, are we at that point now this season when it really doesn't matter anymore about the performance or how the result comes about? It's just about getting the 3 points. Is it that important now when you look at the Championship table?
No, I think the performance is very important. I think that because we're inconsistent, you know, people are still scratching around to find their best form. You know, you're not going to get on a run if you don't have a consistent team and you don't have players playing consistently. Consistency breeds confidence as well. So I really feel that, you know, we need to find our way pretty quickly. Otherwise, you know, looking at the table, you know, the 2 or 3 teams at the top are disappearing very quickly. You know, and if we are going to kind of find any kind of run, you know, we have to start kind of getting that level of a consistent performance.
Well, if we look at the table, as we can see on screen now, as relates to these two clubs, forget the top 2, because I think most people agree that they're probably going to be battling it out for automatic promotion. But you look at that middle section of the Championship table, and you've got Stoke there in 6th on 25 points, and then Sheffield United in 16th on 19 points. It is ridiculously congested between 10, 11, 12 clubs.
Yeah, we've been saying this for a few weeks now, haven't we? I mean, look at the teams. I mean, the team in 8th there, Luton, we went to Luton and they were nothing special whatsoever. And we were by far the better side. We were the better side when we went to Bournemouth, believe it or not, weren't we? We played them off the park at times. And I think I know an analyst at Forest, and words got back from their players that we were the best team that they have faced apart from Bournemouth. So, you know, that says that we're a good side. They've played a lot of the top sides, and that's what they reckon. So I agree with Brian to an extent. You know, we do. Of course, we need the good performances. We want the team to play well. But our performances, the way we are playing, is not getting us results. So we have to change something in the way we play. Whether we have too much possession and it's not focused and direct enough. Perhaps we need to mix it up just a bit, because what we're doing is not getting us results.
Is this where the professionalism of the players comes into fact? Because I was messaging Carlos Saba last week, who was here for us watching the Blackpool game, and he said the first 45 minutes were as good as anything I've seen all season long. And then, of course, you get caught by a sucker punch in the second half and you come away from the game with nothing. As a player, you've got to have a short memory, haven't you? Be like a goldfish and just move on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally with Sabs. We did the game, we both did the game here. I was doing the commentary, and I was saying at half time, I can't remember us playing so well in the first half against Blackpool. We were absolutely magnificent at some of our interplay in and around the penalty area. But again, no shot, very few shots a goal, no rewards. And then we just kind of fell apart second half, you know, after the goal. So something somewhere's got to give. And I'm just trying to make the point that today, I would just like us to get something out of the game. If you offer me a point right now, I will happily take it. Because it's not one of those games where we go to Blackburn and just because we're Sheffield United, you know, we should be winning this game, as some people say. We're taking 4,500 fans. You know, we're one of the biggest clubs in the league in this division, but that doesn't guarantee us anything. You know, we're going to have to scrap and fight and just come away with something today. I think it's important we get something out of it. Yeah,
reward that 4,500 travelling fan base as well. Brian, if I could just ask you a little bit about Blackburn and Tony Mowbray, if we can look at the recent results that Blackburn have had now, aside from that heavy defeat in midweek. They'd gone into that game in reasonably good form with back-to-back wins.
Yeah, exactly. And as you see, we've just had a look at the table, and you can see that it's a real scrap, you know, and people are just trying to get that level of consistency to kick on. I mean, the 7-0 game is a bit of an anomaly, hopefully, from their point of view. But we're going to see some character today. We're going to see what their players are made of. You know, one thing you should be able to guarantee after a game like that is that they match us physically and for effort. Otherwise, you know, they have got a problem. And I think that we need to understand that going into this game, that's the minimum. You know, we have got to match them. Otherwise, you know, that gives them, they will grow in confidence if we don't stand on them today. I guarantee you.
Well, from our perspective, let's hope they do have a problem and the Blades can take advantage of it. Let's look ahead a little bit to today's 3 p.m. kickoff now, because we have the team news from Sheffield United. They've made at least one change to pretty much every game throughout the last month. That's the same again today. We see the evergreen Billy Sharp returning to the starting lineup to lead the team. Lys Mousset makes way and drops down to the bench. Gage, your thoughts?
Well, that kind of backs up what I was saying earlier, that the performances have been okay, because I think the manager was reasonably happy with how we performed against Forest. We didn't pull up any trees really, you know, we didn't create an awful lot, not as much as we have done. But the shape of the team looked good. Gibbs-White was fantastic in a slightly inside role, not pushed out wide, and Brewster got the kind of wide right berth. But Gibbs-White was brilliant, kind of in an inside right midfield role. So looking to him to have an influence. Billy Sharp, we know what he's all about. I mean, he came on, he's got another assist. So obviously Mousset not quite fit enough maybe to start the game, or to start 3 games in a week, or his 3rd game in a week. Must say we're going to miss his runs forward, because he can get in the channels and using his pace and his power. So that's not really Billy Sharp's game. So we're not going to be looking for the balls over the top much, I wouldn't have thought. It's more up to Billy to hold the ball up. But the rest of the team, absolutely fine. More than happy for Basham to keep his place. I think even if Davis had been fit, there's no way you can drop Chris Basham after his performance the other night.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Billy Sharp returning to the starting 11, he's got a good record when he's played Blackburn Rovers recently. And Brian, I guess his leadership skills as well for a trip like this can't be underestimated.
No, absolutely not. And you need that kind of focal figure. You know, Billy's the kind of person, you know, he's the one person within the team who everybody will be looking to for something special. I think it's important, like you said, you need a leader. You know, I mean, Chris Basham's in there again. You know, for me, he's got leadership qualities as well. So it's important to have that down the spine of your team.
So just the one change then to the starting lineup for today's game. Let's look at the form coming into this afternoon's matchup then, going back to the City Ground in Nottingham on Tuesday night and that 1-1 draw against Nottingham Forest.
Lee Doughty is the referee tonight. Sheffield United get this game underway. Strong challenge by Basham, who's actually missed a man and ball there. The referee's playing an advantage. It's Lolly who's bringing it forward. Lolly with a strike. Olsen had that one covered. Decent delivery. Caused a lot of problems. Is it Figueiredo got the last touch? Brewster coming off that right-hand side is away from Colback. Good break this from Ryan Brewster. Still going Brewster. That's better. Flex corner headed away by Taylor. Norwood jumps. Stevens in the central area. Dinks one into the area looking for Gibbs-White. It's missed, and then Bogle with a strike and saved. Xander Stevens. Stevens with the early cross. All the way to the far side, and Brewster. Garner to deliver. This one's deeper. That's a really good clearance. I think it was Basham. Garner's delivery. There's the header, just wide. Probably the best chance of the half so far. And there is the half-time whistle. Nottingham Forest 0, Sheffield United 0. That's a good ball. That's Gibbs-White for Sharp. Gibbs-White wants to return. Billy Sharp. Morgan Gibbs-White! Yes! Breakthrough for Sheffield United. And it's Morgan Gibbs-White again. His 4th goal of the season. Billy Sharp, the creator. Nottingham Forest 0, Sheffield United 1. Norwood's corner, fisted away by Brice Samba. And here come Nottingham Forest down the right-hand side. Colback, 25 yards from goal. Johnson's cross, hits Grabban, and then gets it in the second attempt and steers it beyond Olsen. And Forest have levelled, and it's a substitute, Lewis Grabban, his 6th of the season. Nottingham Forest 1, Sheffield United 1. Look at Brewster coming into the picture now. Gibbs-White still going. Ryan Brewster straight at the goalkeeper.
So 1-1 at the final score, a point away from home, not to be sniffed at certainly, but Kevin, you were on commentary there for us on Tuesday night, and I think the feeling was once the Blades had got their noses in front late on in the game, it was there to be closed out, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, pre-match, I must be honest, I'd have probably taken a point. Forest on a bit of a resurgent run. But as the game wore on, Forest didn't really create an awful lot. A couple of half chances that we saw there, but they weren't any great shakes, you know. And as the game wore on, I just thought we could maybe nick it, you know, if we got a goal at the other end, which we did. And then once again, just let it slide at the end. So it felt like, even though we gained a point, it felt like we'd lost 2 in the end. It was deeply disappointing in the end.
Let's bring up the stats as regards Billy Sharp, because once again, the veteran leader of this group came off the bench, an assist this time rather than a goal. But you look at that record, 41 assists to go with 116 goals. Brian, I'm not sure you ever had quite 41 assists, but you know all about sticking the ball in the back of the net. He's an all-round striker, isn't he?
Hang on a minute. Check my record for assists in the Premier League. All right.
We'll be on that shortly.
You'll find how many assists I made.
Not as many as me for you, mate.
Well,
see, this is great. We've lit the blue touch paper now. But like we say, this is why Billy Sharp, with his experience, is that important to this group.
You know, he knows his way around the box. You know, one thing you do get as you get older, you know, you might not be able to, maybe not as mobile, but your experience makes up for that, and being more efficient comes into the game, you know, where people are automatically going to run and so on. So without his kind of leadership, you know, for me, I was waiting for one of the other forwards that we had, perhaps McBurney, Mousset, or maybe David McGoldrick, to kind of pick the mantle up this year, because you know, we've got players who should historically do very well in the Championship, but you know, Billy's still got that fire in his belly, and he's still the man who is the go-to guy. So you know, perhaps that's something for the guys to look at and think, you know, it's time for me to shine. But you know, Billy's the kind of person who he's not going quietly. Let's just say that.
I don't think he's got any plans on going, quite frankly, right now. But Kevin, is that the frustration, if that's the right word? You know, you heard Brian there saying he's hoping one of the younger guys would pick up the mantle. Billy, whether he's starting a game or coming off the bench, still seems to be the player that ignites this team.
Yeah, we shouldn't really be relying on Billy Sharp, should we, as much as we do? But we have had to this season. I mean, I was championing him all through the start of the season. I couldn't believe how well he was playing. Not just his goals, not just his assists, but his general all-round play was really very, very good. His hold-up play was fantastic. He's always had the experience to back into defenders and to win the odd free kick, which is important to get us up the pitch. But yeah, no qualms about him starting today. I think we have to slightly alter the way we play, because as I said, we haven't got the option to play the ball down the channel for Mousset or one of the other runners. But Billy will be the focal point, and if we can get the ball up to him, get him to hold on to it, then we can have Gibbs White, we can have Fleck, we can have Osborne working off him.
Absolutely. So Billy Sharp returns to lead the team. Another experienced head in the starting 11 today is that of Chris Basham. He started for the first time since the end of August on Tuesday night, and these were his thoughts following that 1-1 draw.
So yes, good to be back. And how much do you hope you kind of put your hand up to say to the manager, I want to play on Saturday?
Yeah, definitely. He's said that all along. If you get on the pitch, you need to take your chance. You can't be a passenger or a bystander. You need to make sure you do well. And I thought tonight, for a long time, I had a bit of pressure on myself to perform, and I did that, I thought, quite well.
Yes, well, indeed so. And I wonder if perhaps you acutely feel that pressure more so than any other time in your time here.
Definitely, it's one of them ones where obviously I've not been playing as much, so you have to go out there and you have to perform first of all for the team, and then get your own performance right as well. And it's one of them ones that I think I've been obviously on the team sheet for many years, so tonight was one of them ones where I was a bit nervous. I had to go in and try and do my best, and it felt quite nicely tonight. I had to do a lot of defensive work, and obviously you know what I can do when I'm driving with the ball and things like that.
I'm kind of putting words in your mouth here, but I mean, do you feel you are one of those leaders that this team needs?
Yeah, I think we need that. We need that from everybody on the pitch, and the manager knows that we're trying to lead as well. And we're just all disappointed in there because we don't feel like we deserve to concede, and it's nasty, it's horrible, it's not nice. But we'll hopefully be on the end of the other way around in the coming weeks, and I'm sure the fans will keep backing us like they did tonight. And it was a good performance.
And in these circumstances that have happened a few times this year, what's it like in there? Because I can imagine certain dressing rooms across your time here, you know, there might be a bit of rabble rousing and, you know, paint throwing and stuff. What are this group like?
Yeah, tonight it was one of them ones exactly straight away. We went in there, we haven't got people, it feels like that, so everyone's having a little bit of a go at each other about conceding again more than anything, and obviously big chances that we're creating we're not taking, so there's a bit of defence via attack, but that's going to happen in how we are as a group. We want to strive for each other and we want to get the best out of each other and do the best for the manager as well.
The thoughts of Chris Basham there following Tuesday's 1-1 draw, pulling up his club record for Sheffield United. You said, Kevin, an experienced head, couldn't be dropped in your opinion after Tuesday night's performance. And at this level, in this division, people that have been around the block, done it, seen it, when you've got youngsters in the team, they are an invaluable commodity.
In any level, in any division, to be honest, in any club. I mean, let me put my cards on the table. I absolutely adore Chris Basham. I think he epitomises everything that's been good about Sheffield United for the past 4, 5, 6 seasons. You know, his record speaks for itself, but the way he leads from the back and he drives the team forward, you know what you're getting from him. You're a completely committed, enthusiastic performance, and he's brought a lot more to his game. He's not just a defender. Of course, he came as a central midfield player, so he's got the technique for that. He's not a Norwood that's going to spray the ball all around the pitch.
Has he been missed over the last 2 months?
I think so, yeah. I think we've missed his drive and his energy. I think Davis has done okay, but he's a completely different type of player from Chris Basham. And I didn't expect him to get forward in the Forest game as much as he did, but he was striding out from the back with the ball and just ghosting past the centre forwards. And all of a sudden, it opens the pitch up because all of the midfielders have to come towards him to close him down. And he was knocking the ball off and creating the overlap kind of, but inside, a kind of inner lap, if you were, because he takes forwards out of the game. So it was a brilliant performance from him, just to see him there like ghosting forward as he does, just drops a shoulder and beats a couple of players or a forward. And as I say, the game opens up and the midfield opens up. So not only does he give us a great kind of base and a defensive solidity in an attacking sense, not storming down the wing, but he helps our play, he helps our football.
If you were watching those highlights at a Premier League club, you know that was Premier League standard. You know, coming out from the back as he was, driving out with it, and he's obviously when he's being confronted by forwards coming towards him, spot on. You know, and like Kevin says, you know, if you've got a centre back who's willing to look forward rather than look to the side, it sets up the tempo of the team. And I think that's very important for a team like Sheffield United.
Absolutely. Well, he's back in the starting 11 this afternoon. Of course, for the manager, Slavisa Jokanovic, it was his call on Tuesday night to recall Chris Basham. And here are his thoughts following that 1-1 draw.
You brought Chris Basham back today. Obviously, injury dictated that. Has he done enough to warrant reselection at the weekend?
Okay, this is good news for us. Bash played a very good game. Was comfortable with the ball. Was solid in the defensive line. He's player with a lot of the guaranteed. We know him very well, and at the end, he's one of our good option for the future.
John Fleck's admitted that he's not in the best form, and it's kind of wondered or led some fans to wonder why Conor Hourihane doesn't get more game time. What's your take on that?
It's my choice. Is Fleck still, and Conor need to fighting. He play a few minutes today. It's always where his result is not especially so good for us. His question is why is one player and not another. It's normal, but this is my choice, and he's really good worker, and he's always his player with some kind of the guaranteed for support to the team. Of course, it's all us can be in highest level, and this is our job for looking for improvement, for looking for being in the highest level and offer better performance to our supporters.
Just finally from me, of the players that didn't make today's squad because of injury, are you going to get them back for the weekend?
This will be always only 18 players. It's my choice. Some of them is injured, some of them is not injured, and it's simple. This is FIFA UEFA rules. Is start with 11, 18 in the. Is complete the bench with 7 players more, and as it is. Concourse is open and will depend of the work. Will depend of my players. At the end, I must to make a decision and choice what I consider is best for the team.
So we're a third of the way through the championship season, 16 games in. It was a tricky start, I think it's fairly safe to say, Brian, for Slavisa Jokanovic here at Sheffield United. Yeah. Are we seeing this team now evolve and his print on it?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we, like you say, beginning of the season, I think he's just trying to get to understand what the players can do and so on. You know, the big conundrum was the forwards. You know, I had a lot of forwards, but how are they going to fit in? We've had a period where the team have started to play some very good football. And so, yeah, maybe he's happy and content with how the team is now starting to perform. You know, you have to marry that with results, I think. You know, but yeah, look, I mean, he's a tried and tested manager. He's a very good manager. So yeah, let's see what, you know, we're coming to a new period now. Can we now start to get some consistency in terms of results?
Well, Brian, Kevin, says you've got to marry performances with results. You've seen every game that Sheffield United have played home and away in all competitions so far this season. Are we seeing this team evolve? And if so, how confident are you that they can marry those performances with results?
Not that confident today, as I've already mentioned. I'm slightly apprehensive today, but I do sense Slav is getting a little bit frustrated. I listened to a few interviews, I read a few things in the press. He's getting a bit fractious with a few journalists, I noticed. He's kind of defending his team because he's confident that the results will come because he's reasonably happy with the performances as well. Like I said earlier, I think we've been doing okay. But it can't just go on that we're not getting the results. Something clearly has to change. So as Brian said, we have to marry the two together somewhere. And he make no doubt about it, he will have a master plan. He might have to change some personnel in January in the window, but he knows what he wants, and I'm sure we'll get there in the end.
Just quickly, because we're going to confirm the team news for the two starting lineups in a second. In a strange sort of way, are we quite fortunate that you've gone through 16 games, you've had to look at the players that he's had at his disposal, and the Blades are still only 6 points adrift of the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to panic about. Yes, we'd love to be top of the league and running away with it, you know, like Bournemouth are, or pushing like Fulham are. I think it's been a bit of a transition for us, obviously. We didn't start the season very well at all. Yeah. I think that's the key to it. We didn't get any confidence going, and we're playing catch up really. But you know, I hope and I pray that the results will just turn, because we're not doing an awful lot wrong, as I've said, you know, a few times now, and I keep saying week after week, we're not doing an awful lot wrong, and I'm sure that it will come good for us eventually. Hopefully, I say eventually, I don't mean 3 months down the line, I mean sooner rather than later.
Yeah, today would be the perfect time to start, wouldn't it? Okay, we've got the confirmed lineups for both sides in now. We'll start with the Blackburn Rovers team news, fresh off that 7-0 thumping they received in midweek at home to Fulham. 4 changes to that starting lineup today, guys, and there's some new faces in there as well, players that haven't even started a game this season before today.
Yeah, well, we don't know too much about Blackburn Rovers, do we? Because as you say, they're not very well known names. I think Brereton Diaz is the main goal scorer. He's one to watch. But you're right, they've made some changes, and I do believe that it's a bit of a makeshift side at the moment. They've also had a few injuries. So they've chucked a few youngsters in and some players who haven't played or featured much this season. And I mean, after a 7-0 defeat, I think you have to make some changes, to be honest. I think you have to shake things up. So I fully expect Blackburn to be a little bit more cautious in their approach today. I think they will try and be a lot more solid, because they certainly don't want to get done a few goals to nil again and lose 2 on the bounce. So usually they're quite a free-flowing attacking side. I think only Bournemouth and Fulham have actually scored more goals than them at home this season. So that tells you what they're about, you know, at home going forward. But I just think today they might be a little bit more cautious and not hopefully for them, they don't want to be on the end of a big upset again or a lot of goal thrashing again.
Well, before Wednesday night's defeat, Brian, I think they'd scored 16 goals, 4 at home and only conceded 8. Obviously, that gets thrown out of kilter when you lose 7-0. But is it a gamble, that lineup we're seeing from Tony Mowbray today? Because you look down the starting 11, Cadra, Walton and Davenport haven't started a game. It's their first start this season.
He might not have any choice. You know, they might have a crippling injury list. But he's obviously looking for a reaction. You know, I think it's a dangerous game to kind of fall out with players over one. You know, let's say for example he's made a lot of changes because because of the performance. It's a dangerous game bringing in players who haven't started. You know, and make no mistake, on the day Sheffield United can beat any team in this division. So it is a bit of a gamble if that is the case. For me, from the Blades' point of view, they really need to get after this game now because it is one of those that psychologically, within the first 5 or 10 minutes, you can get on top of the opposition. You get a goal, and like we said, Billy's come into the side. Perhaps he's looked at that and thought, you know, Billy's the kind of person that we need in the box early in a game like this. It might pay dividends.
Well, let's confirm that Sheffield United starting 11 for you. Once again, we saw it a little bit earlier, and as Brian touched upon just there, Billy Sharp is the one change in that lineup. Lys Mousset makes way, dropping down to the bench. I think given the performances we've seen over the last week or so, you'd be happy that there's a degree of stability about that 11.
Yeah, there is, and the way we set up against Forest and the way it looks like we're going to set up today, this is the manager's preferred formation. There's been a lot of talk about, because Basham's back in the side, you know, there's been a lot of talk about, oh yeah, let's go back to 3 centre halves. It'll be Basham and someone else on the left, maybe Ender Stevens, you know, as the other centre half, and we'll play that system that's worked so well in the past. But we've gone back to, he wants to stick with his flat back 4. We've got 2 wider forwards in Brewster and Osborne, and then we've got our central striker, and then in midfield, Norwood sitting and Fleck on the left-hand side of Norwood and Gibbs White on the right-hand side. That is his preferred formation that's worked for him at Fulham and Watford and got him promotion, got him the success. So he's obviously trying to implant that on Sheffield United. I think what's happening at the moment is we're kind of trying to put square pegs into round holes, and we haven't quite got the personnel, especially up front. Osborne's not a left winger, a left striker, and Rhian Brewster's not really a right winger or a right side striker. So that's where it's kind of falling down a bit. But we're getting there, you know, hopefully we're getting there, and hopefully we will actually get to our destination.
Certainly fingers crossed. Of course, the last time I was sat in this studio, in this seat, to my left was Ender Stevens because he wasn't fit to play. Well, thankfully, he's fit again. He's been ever present recently in this starting lineup, and around about 40 minutes ago, I caught up with him to get his thoughts ahead of today's game. Endo, we really appreciate your time as we get near to kick-off this afternoon. Big game, obviously, with the international break around the corner as well. Just how important is it that Sheffield United try and come away with 3 points and go into that break on a high?
Yeah, definitely. It's what we want. We need a big performance today. It's going to be a tough game, but we know, obviously, with the international break coming up, now we need a big result for us.
And for yourself as a defender as well, obviously you'll be aware of all the talk, both in the camp and outside, of the lack of clean sheets that Sheffield United have been able to keep. What is the feeling there? Is it just 1 or 2 things that need tweaking? And how confident are you that that can be turned around?
Yeah, it's more of a case probably of concentration. We just need to focus on our defensive unit and just try do better to keep goals out of the back of the net. And it's tough for us at the minute, but hopefully we'll get things right.
And I guess the big thing as well is to block out all the outside noise, because we all know Blackburn suffered a heavy defeat in midweek, but this is a different 90 minutes. It's a new day, new game as well. And it's about you 2 teams on the field, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got to expect Blackburn to be at their best tonight, and that's what we've prepared for. That's how we've prepared to beat them when they play at their best. So we'll be expecting that, and hopefully we can put in a performance now that'll get us the 3 points.
And what's the approach, just quickly, Ender, because games involving Blackburn this season and Sheffield United to a large degree tend to feature goals. So how do you go about approaching this one?
Keep clean sheets and score goals, basically. No, we just want to put on a front foot performance, keep the ball, attack, and as you said, we want to keep them clean sheets, so hopefully we can defend as a unit tonight and keep the ball out of the back of the net.
All right, Endo, well, we're looking forward to it. Thanks again for your time as we close in on kick-off, and best of luck this afternoon.
Cheers, thanks.
Enda Stevens saying the key is keeping clean sheets, and certainly when you're on the road like Sheffield United are today, that gives you a good platform to build on. A reminder, of course, that if you are watching us here on this platform and live outside of the UK and Ireland, you can see the whole game live as it unfolds from Ewood Park. Just go to sufc.co.uk for further details. And speaking of Blackburn, let's hop in the time machine and look at some fixtures of years gone by, starting with the last time Sheffield United were at Ewood Park. And it resulted, fellas, in a 2-0 win for the Blades on a cold, I think it was a November night over on the other side of the Pennines. And who else but Billy Sharp was the man of the hour again.
It's always cold on the other side of the Pennines, isn't it? That's
and wet.
Yeah, and wet. It's always raining, isn't it, when you go to Blackburn?
Poacher's goal there, Brian.
Yeah, 6-yard box. It's standard.
But again, this game sort of highlights the full repertoire for Billy Sharp, because this second goal, he pulls off the defender and it's a header as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I was saying, you know, as you get older, you learn your way around the 18-yard box, and if you're naive, you know, a good forward will always take advantage of maybe even just a yard of space, which Billy's an expert at.
Kevin, as a defender, did you prefer going up against young, raw attackers, or did you find it more difficult if you had somebody of Billy Sharp's ilk that, like Brian says, has that mental attribute that can just take him, ghost him into the 6-yard box, if you like?
Yeah, I think you can't beat a bit of experience at times, and Brian's exactly right there. That is a classic centre forwards goal, isn't it? Wonderful ball in from Enda Stevens, by the way. So he's been doing a lot of that recently without anybody getting on the end of it. But that's a classic centre forward goal. You just make your move forward and then drift off the defender. Sometimes it's, as a defender, very, very difficult to mark, because you've got the guy in your eye line and you have to look where the ball is, and as you turn to look at the ball, Billy sees you turn his look at the ball and he's behind you. So sometimes not an awful lot you can do about really good attacking play like that.
Okay, let's indulge in a little bit of nostalgia, shall we? Let's go back 3 decades. 1993, I think it was, FA Cup quarter-final. Do you guys remember playing in this?
Are we that old? 3 decades?
Grainy footage and all.
I don't think I played in this.
Kevin, you definitely did, didn't you?
Well, I
You
definitely
finish
did, yeah, because I've just been trying to reminisce, or remember basically, and I'm sure I came off because I was injured either early in the second half, and my replacement was Mitch Ward, who got the 2 goals. So I'm basically responsible for us getting back to 2-2.
So you're claiming both assists?
I think it's a bit of a long stretch, but it is an assist, isn't it, of sorts?
Yeah, 2-2 at full time. It ended up going to penalties in the end, and Sheffield United, as we'll see shortly, ended up holding their nerve. But this was one of those nights, I think, when Bramall Lane was rocking.
Yeah, was it John Pemberton who scored?
They're actually. I remember watching the penalties because I was due to take one if it hadn't come off. But they were 5 of the best penalties you'll ever probably see.
I hear the penalties now.
Wow.
Yeah, Odgers stroked one in, Mitch Ward stroked one in, and then I think it was Pembo, wasn't it, who got the final penalty, and he nearly took the back of the net off.
Yeah.
Were you ever tempted to get involved in any penalty shootouts, Brian?
Well, I've taken penalties before. Look,
were you nervous? Were you confident? Talk us through it when you're in this situation.
I mean, I scored a penalty in the first game of the Premier League. So that was, you know, if you're scoring goals and you're confident, it doesn't really make a difference. I remember I was when I was at Middlesbrough, I was playing against West Ham away, and Paul Ince came and stuffed the ball in my hand because I don't think he fancied it. But, I managed to score on that day, but you know, I think penalties are.
Look at the nerves there.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. You know, penalty shootouts, I'm not really one for me. I don't think.
Well, this is Pembo's penalty. This is to win it.
That's a heck of a strike. They put your laces through the ball.
That could have gone anywhere.
Pembo didn't have a lot of finesse in his play, to be honest. So I think we were happy to see him.
Harry doesn't look too happy there.
Well, Harry's never bloody. He's never happy, is he?
Yeah.
You know, the players all celebrating and deadpan manager.
Yeah.
But It's been a good recent record, hasn't it, for Sheffield United against Blackburn Rovers. Certainly the last time the two sides met in the Championship, I think across 2 games, Sheffield United scored 5 goals, didn't concede any, took 6 points. It'd be nice if that continued today, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have to start winning them games and picking up points somewhere. So today's as good a time as any. I just wish I was more confident than I actually am.
We're going to get you there, Gagey. You're more confident, aren't you, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, having thought about it, I think this is a good opportunity. I mean, they've made changes. They've lost, by a hell of a score. And there will be some of their players with brittle confidence right now. It's up to us to step forward and be on the front foot for this game. And I think that if we do that, then that's the best chance we'll have to make it an easy afternoon.
Well, we're closing in on kickoff here on SUTV Live. 20 minutes to the 3 p.m. kickoff. And of course, it's the final game before the international break coming up next weekend. So a reminder that after today, the next time you'll see SUTV Live, 2 weeks from today, and an early start as well as the Blades host Coventry City. John Rawling will be in this hot seat alongside Rob Kozluck and Kevin Gage. 11:30 a.m. SUTV Live is on air for that one. And then on Tuesday, the 23rd of November, an evening kickoff at 8 p.m. Paul Walker is in the hot seat alongside Chris Morgan, and once again, he'll be joined by Kevin Gage. Before all of that, though, there's a big night for a Blades legend, Tony Curry. An evening with Sheffield United's greatest ever player. There'll be guests alongside as well on Friday, November the 12th. It's all to celebrate the launch of Tony Curry's new autobiography called The Imperfect 10. He'll autograph Bucks there and take photos. And as if by magic, I've got a copy myself as well. It's available in the Club bookstore here at Bookstore? Club Shop. That's what we're trying to get to, gents, here at Bramall Lane. So if you want to get your advanced copy, do so. And Tony Curry, no doubt, will be more than happy to sign it for you. I must admit, I've only flicked through the first couple of pages, but I'm looking forward to that one. Certainly one of the all-time greats here at Sheffield United. Okay. Let's build up towards today's game then and go to an SUTV Live exclusive. During the week, we caught up with John Egan.
I think we played really well first half. Second half, was a tight game. We managed to work a great goal. Billy put it on a plate for Morgan, and he finished it really well. So very disappointed not to be able to see the game out. Taking a lead away from home, we know we can do better, and we should be doing better to see the game out and win. But listen, it's a point on the road. Just have to move on now and get ready for Saturday.
Forest, one of the division's informed teams, but defensively you more or less kept them at bay throughout that game until that little lapse towards the end. I mean, that just seems the way it's going at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's really frustrating. Especially for us at the back, we pride ourselves on clean sheets, and we haven't managed to get as many as we'd like, and it's something we need to put right. And we're all desperate to do well for this football club, and we're just trying to look forward to the next game now to try and improve. How
hard is the work in behind the scenes with the coaching staff at the moment, just to try and iron out those last few mistakes, really?
Yeah, listen, if you don't keep clean sheets, you're going to be under pressure, and some of the games, Blackpool game as well, we're just getting caught. It seems like one thing always happens, and there's a goal. Millwall, freak goal at the start of the game. Stuff like that kind of happens, and it's a kick in the teeth. But we know we're not too far away. We've got a really good group of players, and we know we have to do better and get better results, and that's what we're all aiming to do, and we train really hard, and we're looking forward now and looking forward to Saturday.
Playing alongside Chris Basham again as a two-man defence. I guess you wouldn't have done that too often in your Sheffield United career. How was that for you?
Yeah, we did it a bit at the start of the season, but yeah, listen, Chris Basham is Chris Basham. He's unbelievable teammate, unbelievable player. He's probably the ultimate teammate, really. One of my closest friends, and to see him come in and perform the way he did was no surprise. He's a top player. He's proved it, and he came in and he was brilliant. That's a good thing about the squad we have. We've players who mightn't be playing that come in and do really well, and we're all pushing each other to try and get in the team, and to try and improve. And I think Bashi showed with his attitude when he wasn't playing. He was still training really hard, and he was ready to come in and put in a top performance, and that's what he does.
And for you playing on the left side of a pairing of two, I mean, does that take much adjustment from your point of view?
When you're a football player, you know, you have to be able to play different positions, and I think, you know, I played a lot left side of centre half in my career so far, and you know, for me, whether you play, you know, right side, left side, centre, you know, you got to be able to adapt, and you know, I feel like I can adapt to all them positions, and you know, personally, you know, I want to keep improving. You know, the manager, you know, gets great ideas across to us in training and stuff, and puts in, you know, a huge amount of hard work with us in training. So it's up to us now to go out there and, you know, to perform better and to get the results that, you know, we want to be getting.
Just looking ahead to Blackburn after what happened to them, to expect potentially a bit of a backlash from them, so a tough game ahead.
Yeah, listen, every game's a new game. You know, results like that happen. They'll obviously be disappointed to lose in the manner they did last night, but you know, Saturday the game starts at 0-0. You know, we're going there trying to give a good account of ourselves and trying to get a positive result, and you know, by doing that we can only look at ourselves. We can't look at, you know, what's gone on in the opposition's last game. We just have to focus on ourselves. You know, we've got quality in the team, and you know, we've got to start showing that.
Yeah, an enlightening chat there with John Egan. Matt's Young, the man posing the questions to the Bladesman. Brian, I look at John Egan, and we've spoken to Chris Basham as well, and spoken about Billy Sharp. This was a group of players that undoubtedly was scarred by the experience last season in the Premier League. Is it only now that perhaps they're beginning to shed some of those scars?
Yeah, potentially. But look, I mean, they've got enough experience. I mean, whichever way you look at it, these are players who have been played at the highest level and coming down a level. Now, how you adapt in your mind is important. You know, you can either sulk or you can turn around and say, well, that's where I want to play. That's the level I can play at. You know, that's where I want to be, and do something about it. There isn't, you know, that's one thing about the Championship, it's very unforgiving. So, you know, as a group of characters, as a group of players, you know, I remember when I was at Leicester and we got relegated and the club was going into administration, and as a group of players, we, aside from the manager, we said, listen guys, if we've got to take on the mantle here, and if we don't, the club's going to be liquidated, where our contracts won't be fulfilled. It's up to us. So that bunch of players were the ones who decided we're going to get promoted, and I think that's character. You know, it was a group of players saying, right, okay, over our dead bodies, and that's how we were. That's how you have to be. There isn't any, you know, you can't always look at the manager and say, well, results are his fault. It's up for, you need captains on the pitch. That's where games are won and lost. You know, it's too easy at times to turn around and say, well, it's down to tactics or whatever. You played enough games between yourselves to know what's right and what's wrong on the pitch.
Kevin, is there an element of that we're seeing now as this team moves forward? Because you hear John Egan talking very thoughtfully about things there. Again, Bash on Tuesday night was pretty direct about where he felt there were problems and what needed adjusting. Is that what we're seeing, the leadership group, if you like, taking ownership of this situation?
Yeah, hopefully. I think Egan has been that person, that leader we've had for the past 3 or 4 years. I remember I actually was on a show with Chris Wilder, and John Egan had just signed, and I'd never heard of him, of course, because he came from Brentford. Nobody kind of heard of him, knew who he was. And Chris Wilder turned to me and said he's an absolute warrior. They were his actual words. So he's obviously a battler, and he is a leader. Chris thought he was a leader, and he has shown that in his time here. But yeah, he's got to marshal that defence, and he'll know that they've been shipping a few goals and some sloppy goals.
He said that right there. It's clearly on his mind, isn't it?
Yeah, it's game management, but it doesn't just come down to the two centre halves and the fullbacks. You know, we're not really set up defensively. Our midfield hasn't got a really defensive bone in it, has it? Norwood's not defensively minded. For all his ping and his fantastic passing ability, you know, he can't really tackle. Fleck's not really a tough tackler. He's a bit of a terrier maybe, but you know, he's not charging about using any defensive kind of qualities. So I think we're kind of alone back there. Again, our wide players are not really set up to be defensive minded either.
Overly exposed, isn't it?
Yeah, we get exposed at times. Yeah, and we have, and it's cost us. You know, it's cost us points. It's cost us wins.
All right, Kevin, well, thanks very much for now. We're going to allow you to go and get ready for kick-off and join Matt Young in the commentary box. Of course, those are the problems highlighted by Brian and Kevin that Slavica Jokanovic has got to find the answers to. Let's get his thoughts ahead of today's game.
This definitely is hard defeat, and definitely this team will try clean the imagine from last night and put everything on the field. We must be care about this kind of the situation. Is this result is a result like this, but is everything then a benefit for us, and at the end is we will find it focused and concentrate the team without any relaxation, and with lot of the desire for wash the face and show different performance. Happened is part of the football. Is one thing. Another thing sent off. It's sometimes happen. Like don't try to be more clever, but this experienced coaches say it's better 1 time 5-0 than 5 times 1-0 lost the game. At the end, this happen, and definitely it's Blackburn play aggressive and good football. What they are considered football is experienced coach with a lot of the games, and we are where we are. We need to be focused and concentrate for the game, definitely.
Are you conscious of going into the international break with a victory after just 1 point from your last 2 games?
We are not questioning about the last 2 games. We desperately need the victories, and we desperately need to add the points. It's Blackburn situation is like it's. I am only making some comment about last game, but we must be care about ourselves. It definitely. We are hurt because we are not win the last game, and we need to be focused and concentrate for do everything for come back at the home with 3 points.
Well, Slavica there saying that we desperately need a victory going into the international break, but you look down certainly recent years, Brian, and Sheffield United have a good record against Blackburn. 1 defeat, I think, in the last 7 meetings. Does that count for anything at all going into today's matchup?
Not really. I think if you look at the trajectory that the club's been on in the last sort of like 3-4 years has been very positive, and teams like Blackburn, who have spent a lot of time historically in this division, have kind of been places where you're going to pick up maybe a double or at least 4 points. So it's been all good. We're facing a different time with a different manager now, and the squad has been changed. Last year it was 3 centre backs, now it's 2 centre backs. It's a different formation, and that's going to have an effect as well. It's a whole new situation. You can't rely on what's happened in the past, and we've already spoken about what today means in terms of them coming off the back of a bad loss. Our indifferent form as well. So it's up for grabs, really.
Yeah, like you say, we've spent some time speaking about Blackburn's form coming in. That 7-0 thumping on Wednesday night. They're giving 3 players their first starts of the season. Yep. Turn that on its head. I know Sheffield United are the away team, but is there an argument here that says start fast, get on them early, and make that count? If you want, emphasise the doubts that must be there in some of these Blackburn players.
The worst thing you can do in a game like this is to sit back and allow the opposition to get comfortable on the ball and their confidence grow. That's what I'm saying. We have to be on our front foot going in and making sure that the last result is still in their minds.
And of course, you've got Morgan Gibbs-White, who's been in great form, Billy Sharp, who's joint top scorer at the club as well. If you can provide those type of players with opportunities, they've got the ability to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, and again, I'm hoping that we've got a plan, off the back of that. I think Billy coming in is significant because of what we've spoken about. That experience in the 18-yard box is going to be key for me. Morgan Gibbs-White has been in superb form, another goal. So I think that in terms of the way how our approach is, I think it could be spot on. But I think that will rely on you know, initially in the first 10, 15 minutes, how we start, that is going to be a key for me. You know, there's no way you can allow a team that lost 7-0 in their last game. You can't just allow them to sort of like come into a game nice and fluffily. You're just asking for trouble.
And in the media, of course, we talk ad infinitum about these international breaks and does it make a difference what sort of form you go in on or come out of. As a player, does it? Do you think about it as much as we talk about it?
Yeah, I think it's like anything. You want to, you know, it's like I always used to think I want to finish the season. So if it's the last game of the season, I want to finish with a strong performance, because then you're going into a lot of time when you haven't got football. And it's the same when you're going into an international break. You know, you haven't got a game for 2 weeks and you want to finish as strongly and as positively as possible. So I'm sure that this is on most players' minds. You know, it's a good opportunity.
Just quickly then, let's put your head on the chopping block. Give us a prediction for today.
I'm going to go 2-1 Blades.
2-1 to the Blades. That would be 3 points. It would mean we'd all leave very happy. Without further ado then, the players are coming out of the tunnel at Ewood Park. So let's hand you over to the commentary team here on SUTV Live. In a moment, you'll hear from Matt Young and Kevin Gage.